Welcome, friends, to Kardec Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing ourselves with one more Immortal message. Immortal Messages is a program based on the book Psychophonic Instructions. You and I are invited to this journey of learning from those who experience the life that we're living here, incarnated, but they discarnated and come back to tell us much for our awareness. They come out of goodwill in a meeting that is coordinated by Arnaldo Rocha, who is the editor-in-chief of this book, and Chico Xavier is one of the mediums. And then we have other mediums, other people who are supporting, holding the current, pretty much like 20 people. And in 1954, 1955, these meetings happen for an hour and a half or more. There is what we call the rescue work. And then the last 15 minutes, we have messages from illuminated minds that come to us to boost a new understanding. Right now we're incarnated, but at some point we're going to go back to the spiritual realm. You know it, I know it. It's mind-blowing sometimes. We don't want to think about it, right? Do you want to think about death? We often don't want to talk about death. In a way, it's good because we keep focused on what we need to do. But on the other hand, if we don't have a reference, we may fail at putting together the things that we need to do. So we need a reference, knowing that our real life is a spiritual life. Our spiritual life is the main life for you and for me. You are not what your physical body is all about, and neither am I. So we are much more than this. Think about this. You feel yourself as immortal spirit? Have you realized that you have lived many lives? And that you're here in this precious one, and you're going to live more. And we are this beautiful construction with God. God created us, and we are co-creating with God, sculpting ourselves at each and every feeling, thought, word, and action. Ready then? Yes? All right. This is going to be chapter 8 from the book Psychophonic Instructions. It's about words of an advocate. It's about a spiritist who discarnated, comes back. Who is he? This was April 29th, 1954, almost 66 years ago. And Professor Cícero Pereira is this beautiful friend who comes back to talk to his friends. He is friends with Arnaldo Rocha, who is the editor-in-chief of this book, spirit counselor in this rescue work meeting, good friends with Chico Xavier, who is at the meeting. Chico Xavier is the speaking medium relaying this message that we're going to read, because this message was tape recorded, transcribed, and now, 66 years later, comes to life for you, for me, for everybody. Who was he? He was a valiant advocate of Spiritism in Brazil, especially in the state of Minas Gerais. He even were the president of the Spiritist Association of the state of Minas Gerais. They call União Espírita, the Spiritist Union of Minas Gerais, which is in Belo Horizonte. I remember visiting it last year in 2019 when we were there and visiting the new headquarters, etc. So this was a devoted brother to Spiritism, and now he has a message for them, for you, and for me. Are you ready for the message? Because this is a message from a Spiritist to a Spiritist, from a Spiritist to a Spiritists, you and I. Okay? Professor Cícero Pereira says, "My friends, let us first of all ask the Lord Jesus Christ to support us in our work. I could not refrain myself from the joy of visiting you, even in a swift way. Great is our hope observing the plantation of light to which you devote yourselves. Besides, I cannot forget that I have good friends here, starting with our Arnaldo Rocha. My dear friends, there is great surprise on our side as Spiritists after the tomb. It's actually an incommensurable surprise because we often mobilize the values of our faith with the pretension of those who feel as the chosen ones before the Lord. In addition to death, we look forward to a happiness that we were not even close to building in the world. We are new apprentices of the gospel. That is the truth. But we're always interested in bringing our problems to Christ, completely unconcerned about the problems of Christ, about us. We seek our own image in the mirror of divine grace. We are like old Narcissus, imprisoned in illusions. And we admit that there are no pains greater than ours and that our needs outweigh the needs of ours. For this reason, the narrow time of permanence in the body only favors us, for the most part, more dense petrification of selfishness in the shell of our old vanity. We're readers of admirable books. We're moved and cry before the enlightening values to which we're blessed with. However, after the contact with the sublime thought of our advisors, we're thrown into oblivion every day, as if we were suffering from irreparable amnesia in the face of everything that refers to our obligations to Jesus. In our doctrinal houses, we intensify disputes around the human direction, magnetized by the less worthy aspects of the struggle, and we were called upon to develop, and often in the interchange of our brothers, strengthened in the shadows. We hammer precious lessons of charity and living faith, understanding and tolerance, forgetting that the so-called suffering spirits are often brought to us by vanguards of the divine light, interested in our renewal while there is a better time. Woe to us, however, from the inadequate conflicts in our temples of faith. We only gather bitter fruits, and the messages punctuated with distress, which aim to rehabilitate us for the Lord, we only take negative impressions, since we move in the circle of our responsibilities, believing ourselves to be victorious co-workers, when deep down, before the benefactors of superior spirituality, we're simply companions in danger, with immense difficulties to satisfy our own adjustment. Be convinced of that for us, discarnate spirits. There is an amazing task that we did not count on. As strange as it may seem, we are usually placed in counseling services along with the companions who have stayed. Spiritists with spiritists are brothers linked in the same duty to fulfill. Out of the body, however, we see how difficult it is to efficiently aid the hearts close to the light, and how sacrificial is the relief given to patients who are not interested in the cure themselves. We then identify the principle of correspondence. Placed in the position of those who previously directed us, we recognize how impervious we were in the world to those who were selflessly close by. As soon as I opened my eyes before the splendor of truth, I met our old friend Sarah, notifying me in good humor. Cicero, now is your time to try the new work that lives in your hands. And since that time, I, who retained the permission of a driver, although the insipidity of the gospel apprentice I still am, I began to understand something regarding the gigantic service that is incumbent upon us to push forward. Fond of the machine of action, we're carefully not to betray harmony. Because it is necessary to balance our steps, to guide safely the steps of others, to discipline ourselves within the responsibilities we embrace, so as not to threaten the work of those around us. Listen more, do more, talk less. It is difficult to bear the little of the servant of the good news, which among men may be a flowery palm, but here it becomes a crown of fire. Such is the concern with which we must learn to help and to give up, for that the vehicle of our principles advances on the rails of order. By registering our experience, we hope you will come here later moving better resources. I recognize that much remains to be said. However, time is running out. With us, there are other brothers who leave you an affectionate visit. Our friends Henriot, Mata Suplicio, and our Iphigênio share our prayer. We're all now suffering the same evil, the troubling privilege of collaborating in an achievement whose magnitude effectively crushes us. Let us do our best in the conviction that the Lord does not forsake us. And thanking the satisfaction of this hour, I leave to my dear companions the recognition of my heart. Cícero Pereira. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. He says things that are huge for us here. First, that we're apprentices of the gospel. We're apprentices. No matter how much I read, how much I study, how long have I been doing this? I don't know. Maybe this life, previous life, I don't know. We're still learning. And no matter if we spend 70 years doing this, we're still beginners compared to those who have been working on this for immortality. For many millennia, centuries, they have been working side by side with Christ. But the point here is not that. The point is that we Spiritists have wonderful books. And we see all these enlightened values, and we, in our daily life, go through amnesia. What do you think about this? Do you recognize this? It's an assessment. We do. We recognize that we're falling short. But don't be discouraged, because this message comes to awake us. Let us accept the invitation. He says that usually we come to ask Christ for solutions to our problems, but we never worry about the problems of the Christ. So why should we be concerned about the problems of the Christ, right? It's as if we're asking a child if they should be concerned about the teacher's issues in terms of educational steps, or asking our children if they should be concerned about the parents' issues. We do, especially when it's regarding us. He says, the problems of Christ about us, not about the whole world. We're not going to say, oh, Jesus, how do you want me to solve the problems in XYZ countries where we're not? It's about us. He is concerned about Concerned in the sense of Jesus is working day and night to make sure that you and I evolve. How can we help him out? Because the minute we have this type of awareness, we live a better life. Do you agree? Because we're going to be synchronized. We'll be truly Christ conscious. To be Christ conscious is exactly this path. There is a moment in which we understand the curriculum, we get the syllabus, and we work on it. We no longer need babysitters to keep pushing us to do it. But majority of us on earth are still in that mode. And a little bit more than that, he talks about when people forget about the true goals of Spiritism, create Spiritist organizations, and start fighting disputes around human administration. This is bad. Thank God I don't go there. And I hope you don't either. There's something Mentor Joseph always tells me. Where there is dispute, get out. Get out, stay away. Let people, if they think they need that power, let them play that power position. They think it's power. Let them think. Like Cicero Pereira. He was president of a Spiritist Union. You never heard of him, but you heard of Chico Xavier. Chico Xavier was never president of anything. Jesus, he was not doctor of the law. And yet, you know of him. You don't even know the names of the doctors of the law at the time. And they thought they were a big deal. They thought they were imprinting themselves in history. But you know, history is not only told by men. The history on our planet will be guided by God always. There were Roman emperors who believed they would stay in history forever. There are many of them we don't even know their names. And the ones we know, usually it's because they did bad deeds. Rarely we know the name of a Roman emperor or an Egyptian pharaoh who really did something good. And we're saying this because usually vanity, as he's saying here, Cicero Pereira is saying this message, makes us believe in the illusion that we're going to be in history just because we played that position in a certain organization. But for us Spiritists, it doesn't matter if you're the president of the Spiritist Center. Of course, we respect it and we respect the order, but not because the person is the president, but because we need to respect one another, period. We need to cherish each other's company, period. Not because you're playing a position here or there. And he's saying we should not dispute it. So if you are in a group, in a Spiritist group, anywhere, and there's dispute, get out. Don't. You're wasting time. He says, inadequate conflicts in Spiritist temples. And this is 1954. Mamma mia. It's human nature, right? So he says, and often they believe themselves as victorious co-workers, and we're simply companions in danger. Whoa, 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 whoa. Question for us, are we companions in danger? We need to think. If we're disputing anything, we need to think. And He's saying more. As strange as it may seem, he says, now in the spiritual realm, he's counseling us who are here on earth. So now we're here as Spiritist workers, thinking we're doing great, and in reality, we're falling short to the work and giving more work to spirits in the spiritual realm. Assessment question for you and I. Are we giving too much headache to the good spirits in the beyond because they need to stop everything to take care of us because we are not really aligned? Because Cicero Pereira is telling us we create more duties for the good spirits instead of helping them rescue people who are really in need. We're the ones who are supposed to help become troublemakers in a way. So he says the administration of anything should not come first, should not come before harmony. Harmony comes first. It's necessary to balance our steps. So here's the recipe. Balance our steps. Guide safely the steps of others. Discipline ourselves in our responsibilities, not to threaten the work of those around us. So balance our steps. Balance within ourselves. If you are doing work without the love in your heart, it's not going to help. But do not give up either. Adjust yourself. And guide safely the steps of others, disciplining ourselves, thinking the good, doing the good, feeling the good, molding the good with all the resources we have at hand. We need to empower ourselves to stay aligned. So listen more. Do more and talk less. Okay, 3 things we need. Listen more, do more, and talk less. In the next 24 hours, this is the exercise we're going to do wherever we are. At home, talking to people, anywhere. We're going to listen more, we're going to do more, and we're going to talk less. Let us do this. This is the exercise that Professor Cicero Pereira is inviting us to do to see how we feel, okay? And that doesn't mean we're not going to talk to people, but we're not going to be exceeding limits that probably we have been exceeding, okay? You agree with this realization? This is a message from my Spiritist to us. If you're listening to this and you're not a Spiritist by any chance, that's okay. You are also in the same path, finding illumination, right? So the question for us now, irrespective of any label, is how can we be less imbalanced, more balanced, more useful, less troubling? Good question. So let us listen more, do more, talk less. But when we talk about listening more, talking less, it means quieting the mind in the exercise that Mei said days ago, melody of silence. Seeking the beauty and the good. Right now I can hear birds, nature making noises. So beautiful. Listen. I know you can give in to feelings you feel about somebody in your house, but listen more, talk less, do more. Okay? Now I'm going to invite you to a prayer in which we're going to visualize all the Spiritist centers in this world. This is specifically for Spiritist centers. It's okay. We deserve a moment also to pray for the Spiritist movement around the world that is so needed in this moment, that is in great demand for humanity, and we needed to share our beautiful thoughts with it. Shall we, friends? Yes? Okay, so we're gonna pray. Let us breathe in and out and feel the loving vibrations. Breathing in and out. Dear Father, Mother God, we need to pray to unite ourselves with one another in you in this needed journey of growth. We have been learning so much from Spiritism, and we want to pray for all the Spiritist organizations around the world. May they all receive extra protection and deep empowerment so they can fulfill their will of love on earth. We feel this loving embrace, praying that we are more balanced, more focused on loving one another and instructing each other with wisdom. We let go of old conditionings and open up to new, beautiful relationships. Thank you, God, for the opportunity of being here, of sharing this moment with one another, and for the message of Professor Cícero Pereira through Chico Xavier, which comes to us as a healing balm. May we all stay under your loving grace today and always, and so be it. It's so deep, so soothing, that I feel so connected and relaxed. How do you feel? Let us meditate on this. Listen more, do more, talk less, and see how we feel. Shall we, friends? If you have any question, feel free to ask us, to send us this question either here on the chat at Facebook at Cardiac Radio or cardiacradio@gmail.com. Thank you, friends. Until next time.